So I have to kind of figure out what is the loudest voice. And sometimes I will see the word or the scene predominantly, and then some other stuff is like fainter. So the louder stuff, if you will, is the stuff that I usually say first. And then if I keep hearing the other softer stuff, then I'm like, okay, I know I need to say that.
What are some of the things you post on Instagram?
Well, my latest post is a really important one. It's about how no matter how many medical treatments, herbs, exercise, diet, energy, healing, all the things which are important, you can do all that stuff all day long. But without self-love, and that I've heard the loudest ever since I started my recovery journey.
All right, we're going to come back in just a moment and take final calls with Katie Beecher right here on Coast to Coast. And again, her book is called Heal from Within. Her website linked up at coasttocoastam.com. And welcome back, our final segment with Katie Beecher, and we'll take your calls as well. Katie, are some people afraid to connect with their intuition and spiritual abilities?
They're going to maybe open themselves up to negativity or evil. They overthink the process, and they think, like, what if I do it wrong? What if I listen and then I make a mistake and screw up my life? A lot of what happens is that when we listen to our intuition, it's often because we're having a problem and want some answers, and those answers can be really scary and mean a lot of change. And even if you kind of know, I really hate my job and I really need to get out of it, the scary part is like, what do I do? And where do I go? And what if I have to move? And there's all these, things. What if I make less money? And so the resistance to listening is often because it means change, and also possibly having different relationships with people.
Let's go to the calls. Let's go east of the Rockies. Keith is with us in Ohio, 65 years old. Welcome to the show. Hi, Keith.
Hi, George. Hi, Katie. Yes, Katie, I am blind, and I just want to get an idea, because I get bored easily and always want more to do, and even perhaps to go back to work. Even though I'm disabled, I can still use my voice. I used to work in broadcasting, and I know I've spoken with George before, and I love being in the field and the media, and so I want to get your perspective of what you see, please.
Well, one thing I would say is I would not refer to myself as disabled, just because it's very limiting and it makes you kind of focus on the negative and the scary. And you sound like a pretty, I don't even know how to phrase it, but you just sound like you really have your act together, and you have so much going for you, and you have so many strengths. And so to be able to focus on those instead of, well, there's so many jobs that need sight or whatever. And I really love the fact that there's so many online opportunities now, and you don't necessarily have to go into an office. So I would take a look at that, look at your strengths. I don't know if you've been on sites like Fiverr before, but it's kind of like freelance things, and you sort of, make your pitch and you put in what you're good at and what you'd like to do, and then people can hire you from there. So turn it around and make it so this is what I want to be doing, this is what I'm going to put out there, and I'm going to create my own job and my own opportunity.
It sounds like his disability of blindness doesn't really hold him back.
That's what I was picking up. Yeah.
Thanks, Keith. Good luck. He's got a great radio voice, too, by the way.
I know.
Next up, we're going to Portland, Oregon. Elena's with us, 80 years old. Hello, Elena.
Hi. I just want to know if maybe you know something or feel something about I have balance problems, and my feet and legs are just not working like they should.
So some medical issues here, Catherine.
I'm sorry, after you said balance, I didn't hear what you said after that.
Oh, I just have feet, and I have osteoporosis and osteoarthritis, and I don't know, recently my feet just don't do what I want them to do.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So one of the first thing thing I heard was circulation. So look at
And balance.
issues. And right. And that can also come into balance because you need your blood to be circulating freely, then the oxygen to be circulating freely, and all of that kind of thing. And I'm also hearing, even though it may seem counterintuitive, to try to get as much movement as possible. So even if there's things maybe like swimming or things that you know, seated yoga, walking as much as you can in terms of, you know, not being afraid that you're going to fall over. But it feels like there's so much fear. There's just an intense amount of fear. And if you think about what osteoporosis is, it's your bones not having any strength so that you don't feel supported. So I feel like looking at ways to get support, to, you know, ask for help from other people, do things that you don't think you can do, you know, reach beyond your comfort level. But even around feet, like feet are about moving forward in life. So think about what's holding you back and what fears are holding you back, and challenge yourself a bit on those things.
And when you get to be 80, falling, that's what gets you, doesn't it, Katie?
Oh my goodness, that is for sure, and especially with something like, you know, bone loss, because then you get, and so the more that you can do to strengthen your hips and maybe work with a trainer on weights and things that you can safely do. You know, I'm 58, and if I didn't vigorously exercise, my mind and body would not be in very good shape. So I could say I'm 58, I shouldn't be whatever, you know, the things are about age, but try to put age, you know, out of your mind and do things that make sense, you know, for your body. But I think strengthening with light weights and things and working with a trainer and a physical therapist, I think would be really great.
She sounds like a young 80, doesn't she?
She does.
Let's go next to Rosa in California, 61 years old. Hello, Rosa.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good to have you with us. What's your question?
Oh, my question is, well, first, I wanted to say I appreciate your positive contribution, you know, with the program and your guests. Always
Thank
wanted
you.
to say that. I've just been too nervous to say it.
Ah.
So anyway, my question is, well, I'm blind too, by the way. It must be blind night. So I was wondering if you see my financial situation getting any better in the near future.
You're so funny. Okay, so I just have to say sometimes blindness or eye issues have to do with things that either we don't want to see in our lives or things that we see that we're really afraid of. So do things like, you know, be aware of it. Like, don't be afraid to look at your bills, and don't be afraid to kind of, you know, confront your situation head on. I feel like, in terms of abundance, that you're doing really well with what you have, and that is to be commended. So give yourself credit for that and resourcefulness, because that's amazing. You feel very stable, even though there's some fear there. So concentrate on what's working, on what's going well in your life. And I'm hearing if you happen to look into resources for the blind or different, you know, programs in your area, maybe like things for older people. But I'm hearing that there's resources out there that you're not aware of. So maybe go through, you know, a Elderly Services Bureau or something like that. You don't have to pay a lawyer. But I'm hearing that there's resources out there that you're not aware of, that you can get some help with.
Follow-up question, Rosa? Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's wonderful. I mean, I have already attended, like, the Blind Center for a while and all that stuff, but I think I kind of learned more just by, like you said, just moving and doing things. I mean, I cut 3 cans a week of, like, my green, my bamboo in the back that we can never get rid of at my house. So even though I can't see, I use one hand to catch it with my hand and the other pruner. I manually, and everybody goes, no way, but the balancing thing is great that you explained to that lady, because even 30 seconds of balancing exercise helps me. Because anytime somebody's blind, you're always having issues like that.
So, like with proprioception and things. So, and gardening so healthy. I mean, it's so healthy for your mind too. So I just absolutely love that you are out there and Tim, sun on your face.
Katie, what do you recommend people who believe they have intuitive abilities, but they just haven't mastered them yet?
Well, I don't know that there's any such thing as mastering, because I feel like mine are always growing, and I'm always learning more about it. And I feel like often people will have more confidence in the intuitive information they get for others rather than themselves. Because if we listen for ourselves, that means we have to, eventually act on it. But one thing to remember that takes some of the fear out of it is that we always have a choice. Our intuition does not force us to do anything. And if you're listening to your intuition or hear something and it just feels overwhelming, then maybe you can say to it, like, I hear you and I know I need to do that. And I'm not ignoring you, but right at this very moment, it feels overwhelming. So I promise to check in with you, maybe in another day. But right now I can't, and that's okay. So you're not always going to be ready. But as long as you're listening and open to things, that takes a lot of the pressure, out of it, and you can be more open to what you hear.
Where do folks get your book, Heal from Within?
They can get it just about anywhere. It's at a lot of, bookstores and things like that. The easiest place is Amazon or Barnes & Noble, and there's links to that on my website and Instagram and all the things.
You take account the clients through your website?
Yes, that's how people, if they want to book, go directly to my website, and you fill out, whatever information you need in terms of how we're going to communicate and your age and name, and then you can pick a date on my calendar, and we go from there. It's really simple.
All right, Katie, thank you for being on the program again. Keep in touch with us, okay?
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Take care of yourself. And as I mentioned, we've got our live program Monday night on Coast to Coast, our Labor Day show, so make sure you're part of the program and sit back and enjoy and participate. We've got 2 special guests, and you'll love the show. For Adam Thompson, Tom Danheiser, Dan Galante, Lisa Lyon, Lex Lonehood, Sean Ladesseur, Stephanie Smith, Chris Burrows, Tim Banal, George Knapp, and Ian Pudded. I'm George Norrie, somewhere out there on Coast to Coast AM. We'll see you on our next edition. Until then, be safe, everyone.
Peter Panagore is with us. His book is Heaven is Beautiful, How Dying Taught Me That Death Was Just the Beginning. So you succumb to hypothermia on this mountain. You have this absolutely mind-blowing experience that cannot be described with language. You need to come back to your body to spare your parents the pain of losing you. They'd already lost their daughter. When you come to, what happens? What is your climbing partner still alive?
He is. As I came back to my body, I was being carried by this same angelic being, but I was being reduced in size and made into matter. And as I approached my body, as it carried me to my body, I could see my body dangling on the edge of the cliff, strapped in, arms splayed downward, and my partner, Tim, was shaking my body, screaming, "Don't die, don't die, don't die." And then this angelic being pierced my human chest and pushed me inside and pushed me inside. And then I could see back into heaven, and then this eye in my heart closed and my brain came back online. I could feel it booting up, and as it booted up, all of my pain came back to me, and I could hear Tim as I began to understand language, and I opened my eyes, and his face was near mine, and he had me by the coat. "Don't die, don't die." And he was screaming and crying, and my eyes opened, and he was shocked, and he said, "You were dead. I thought you were dead. I thought you were dead. If you were going to die, I was going to die." And he helped me stand back up, and I didn't have any idea where I was or who I was or what he was, or what had happened to me, or how I had changed, but I knew that I wasn't the same person anymore.
So how did you manage to get down off the face of the mountain?
Well, I think it depends on your point of view. It could have been a miracle because I've been trying to get that rope free all night. On the next pull, the rope came free. Or it could have been that I fell so far off the edge of the cliff that the rope released itself above. I don't really know. And we descended, and we went to the car, got out our tent, and we self-treated for hypothermia. We waited for our bodies to get warm enough to climb into the car to turn on the heater. And that's what we did.
And what's the conversation like now between you and Tim? Is he asking you about what happened? Are you relaying any information to him?
No, I'm not speaking at all. And everything we did say, it was all still survival. We were still in serious trouble. Just because we were in our tent. Tim had a tent with a chimney and a vent. It was an Arctic Circle tent. So we could fire up our stoves inside. We talked about firing up our stoves and sipping warm water, not hot water, and got into our sleeping bags. No conversation at all about what happened. We were exhausted. And Tim was an atheist. And I didn't know what had happened to me. And I didn't even know who I was anymore. So I began my life of silence. I said nothing to him. And we drove all the way back to Bozeman. But halfway there, we totaled the car in a semi. Tim took the remaining money we had in a bus to bring our skis back to Bozeman, and I hitchhiked, and I caused the car crash. And so not only
caused it. How did you cause the car crash?
Because several things happened that night on the drive home. One of which was that only Tim could drive his brand new car that his dad had given him. And at one point in the night, we were in the wrong lane, and we barely missed a head-on with a car. I screamed and yelled at him. And then we got arrested for speeding through a town. We got locked up till we paid our fine. And then, once that happened, I went back to sleep again, and I was so confused. And I woke up, and I saw headlights coming toward us. And I said, Tim, there's a car coming. No, there's not. Yes, there is. You're in the wrong lane again. And I jerked the wheel. I grabbed that wheel, and I jerked us to the right, and we swept to the right into the gravel, and there was a ditch. And before we get to the ditch, we get to the edge of the ditch, Tim yanked the wheel to the left, and screaming, and I was screaming, and all sorts of things were flying in the car, and it the ground on one side and then the other side, and we were bouncing in cassette tapes, and everything slowed down. And then I saw a movie of my life, and I saw the headlights of this semi-trailer truck 6 inches from the front of our car, right square onto it, and Tim jerked the wheel to the right again, and we shot away from the front of the semi, and we bounced back in under the semi into the wheels at the back of the flatbed and destroyed the car. And the truck driver was leaning on his horn, and there was all this screeching of tires, and Tim's braking, and neither of us got hurt. We got whiplash. I got a cut. The car was destroyed. And Tim was super angry at me.
You survived 3 near deaths in the matter, 48 hours?
It was
brain